Everyone in Riverdale society knew that Pierce had single-handedly outbid the entire room at the city's biggest auction to win the Ruby Suite. They were used to it, after all, everyone knew jewelry was my greatest weakness, and I'd been coveting that particular set for months. Yet at the annual gala it was draped around his secretary's throat and wrists. I don't tolerate grit in my eye. In that instant I understood, the childhood bond and the 5-year marriage we once cherished had come to their finish line. I have money, looks, ability, any man I want is within reach. A man who's soiled? I'm done with him. Before we go on, please subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you're listening from. That evening Pierce arrived late. I worked the room with the shareholders, laughter flowing like champagne. When the party was in full swing, Pierce finally appeared with Brianna on his arm, fashionably, infuriatingly late. The moment the doors opened every head turned. I was sipping a cocktail in leisurely boredom when the collective gasp beside me made me look up. One glance and I froze. Pierce stood there in his tux, Brianna beside him in haute couture, her hand tucked through his elbow. The ruby suite blazed at her throat and on her fingers. I watched Pierce adjust the necklace for her, his fingertips resting on the bare nape of her neck, the gesture soaked in intimacy that had long crossed the line. So, while I waited, he'd taken his darling secretary shopping for a gala gown. I finally heard the sound of my own heart cracking, the belief I'd clung to collapsed like a house of cards. News that Pierce had once again thrown around 7-figure bids zipped through Riverdale. I'd even instructed my stylist to craft a look that would harmonize perfectly with the rubies. Yet, minutes before the gala began, the suite still hadn't arrived. I rang him and asked whether there was a gift he meant to deliver. He brushed me off with swamped at work, but I caught the Ain't lilt of a woman's voice in the background. Pierce, will Serena be upset when she finds out? Relax. She owns enough jewelry to fill a museum. He might as well have slapped me in front of the entire room. This man was no longer the pure-hearted boy I once knew. Brianna followed Pierce like a docile kitten, greeting me with a courteous smile, pretty, poised, and unsettlingly familiar. Good evening, Serena. My gaze cooled several degrees as I inspected her. That suite you're wearing is impressive, looks exactly like the one I had my eye on. Everyone here is smart, subtext is enough. A newly graduated girl from an average family doesn't stroll in wearing multi-million-dollar rocks. Brianna shifted under my stare, sneaking glances at Pierce, silently begging for cover right in front of me. Pierce's face stayed placid, as if nothing were amiss. Serena, don't misunderstand. Brianna told me she'd never attended such a formal gala and had no appropriate gown or jewels. It was convenient, I had the suite, she's been working hard, so I lent it to her. I lifted a brow and signaled my assistant. Seconds later a line of sales associates marched in, each carrying a velvet box. Pierce frowned. Arms folded, I leaned against the banquette. Time to pay up. Plenty of assistants in this room, all of them hustling. Since you're feeling charitable, surely you won't limit the generosity to your own secretary? Brianna's face drained of color. Serena, please don't blame Pierce. It's my fault, I'll return everything right now. As if I were the villain picking on her for sport. Sweetheart, don't flatter yourself. A few pieces of jewelry are nothing, Pierce can afford them. He's used to luxury, maybe he doesn't realize what gifting clothes to a woman implies, but as his secretary, you ought to. Brianna's panic deepened, she bowed her head and apologized repeatedly. Pierce is undeniably desirable, and women constantly angle for his attention. None succeed, his indifference freezes out. I was his exception, or so I believed. I never imagined that only a few years into our marriage his heart would wander. Pierce exhaled, drew a VIP black card from his breast pocket, and handed it to the lead sales associate. He moved to my side, slid an arm around my waist, looked down at me with rehearsed tenderness. It's just jewelry. I didn't think you'd mind. Don't upset yourself. As though he were discussing the weather. I smiled thinly, hooked a finger into his silk tie, and yanked. Brianna has a crush on you, don't pretend you're oblivious. I know the money means nothing, but this is the first and last time. Next time, nearby employees hooped, mistaking our attention for flirtation. Color crept up Pierce's throat, he tugged his collar. Serena, not here, the staff are watching. Brianna and I are strictly professional. Don't read into it. I let go with a soft snort. Humiliating him would be easy, but I'd humiliate myself in the process. Squabbling with a 22-year-old over a man would be beneath me. Since I'd made my point, I let it rest. For now, I had no hard proof of an affair. I took Pierce's hand and led him toward the stage for my keynote. The employees who'd received jewelry paraded past Brianna, sparkling. Thanks to Assistant Leong, we all got a sweet. For Pierce, handing these out is like giving kids candy. Who'd be dumb enough to think that makes her special? No wonder he made an exception for her. Turns out she's just a stand-in. Each mocking comment sliced her like razor wire. Humiliated, eyes red, she fled. After my speech I decided to leave. I'd had a few glasses. Pierce took the wheel. The instant I opened the passenger door I knew. The seat was repositioned, plush toys crowded the dash, and pink stickers plastered the visor. No one else would dare commandeer Pierce's car, let alone redecorate it. Only Brianna. I told myself sparring with a child demeaned the sterling name. Yet at that moment rage blurred my vision. Learnin'. Gee, he'd given her the rubies hadn't stung this badly. Those I could replace with a phone call. But carving her presence into my rightful space, she was gnawing away at my territory one stitch at a time. This was open provocation. In 5 years of marriage I had never been this furious. I wanted to slap Pierce senseless and fling Brianna clear across Riverdale. My face hardened, I opened my mouth. Pierce's phone rang. He answered Brianna's call, oblivious to the storm on my face. I fussed with the seat adjuster as his side of the conversation floated over. Okay, calm down, I'll be right there. He looked at me. Brianna wants to return the sweet but she doesn't have the receipt. I need to sort it out. I'll call the driver to take you home, alright? I stared, incredulous. You're ditching your tipsy wife for this nonsense? Serena, don't make it harder. She's proud, what you did hurt her. I laughed in disbelief. Pride, or a performance for you? She couldn't send someone else? Pierce sighed, and when his eyes opened again they were cold. Why torment a rookie? You've become so aggressive, you never used to be like this. My fury guttered out, replaced by hollow exhaustion. How ridiculous. Aggressive? Pierce, you've never defended another woman in public, not even your mother. This is a first. You've never given jewelry to anyone, and you've certainly never abandoned me for someone else. When we married we agreed, for the sake of the Sterling and Caldwell reputations, neither of us would stray. Are you really going to break that promise over that woman? Pierce froze. After a long silence he still dialed the family driver. Then he leaned in to unbuckle my seatbelt. Serena, you're always so sharp, so aggressive. We're husband and wife, not just business partners. Stop treating me like one of your boardroom targets, it's suffocating. I'll spend tonight at the Caldwell estate. We both need to cool off. So that was it. No wonder he'd suddenly flipped. He couldn't wait to find comfort and pleasure in another woman. Yet he used to say my personality was what he admired most. He's always known exactly who I am. How could 5 short years change his tune? Simple, he's tired of me and looking for excuses. No need for all those high-sounding justifications or for smearing me on top of it. I slammed the door and watched Pierce gun the engine like he couldn't get away fast enough. Serena, don't tolerate a single grain of sand. Once love or marriage is tainted, it's time for me to discard it. I'd already given him a chance, he chose not to value it. I speed-dialed my best friend. Gloria, draw up divorce papers. For families like ours, no one files unless every other road is closed. The Caldwell and Sterling elders have been friends for generations. Pierce and I grew up together. After the wedding we cross-own huge blocks of stock. Caldwell and Sterling are braided together too tightly. Untangling our assets is going to be a nightmare. Back home, dizzy and exhausted, I showered and headed for bed. My phone chimed with Pierce's goodnight text, complete with a cutesy kiss sticker. I didn't reply. Next morning outside headquarters a girl nearly knocked me over. My bag hit the pavement and came up scuffed. Her coffee splashed across my coat. 2 security guards sprinted over, barking that she should watch where she's going. Startled, she grabbed my bag and scrambled to her knees, dabbing at the stain with her sleeve. When the spot wouldn't lift, she begged forgiveness on her knees in the frigid air. She wore only a thin jacket and sunglasses that failed to hide the bruises circling her eyes. It happened right as Pierce arrived for work. The Caldwell and Sterling towers sit on opposite sides of one street. He stood across the way, motionless, face dark and stern. For the first time I saw outright disgust in his eyes. In his mind I was probably the haughty rich wife throwing her weight around. I stepped back, waved the guards off, and helped he girl to her feet. I don't know what you're going through, but a woman has to value herself. Whatever you lose, never lose your self-respect. She apologized over and over, thanked me, and ran. I didn't notice her step out from the corner moments later and stare holes through my back. During a lull at work I remembered the look Pierce had given me. That flash of revulsion still stabs like a needle. Every lunch our Caldwell chef delivers a bento to my office. Pierce insists on eating with me to flaunt his Caldwell status and keep male colleagues at arm's length. Today, when the food arrived, he didn't show. I wasn't planning to wait, but just as I lifted the lid he walked in, with Brianna at his heel. Her eyes were red, her head bowed in meek sorrow. I paused, face blank. Pierce sat beside me and exhaled. What happened yesterday is making people shun Brianna. I snapped open my lunchbox. She's the CEO's assistant, she can't handle a little gossip? I want you to rein in your staff. Stop ganging up on a rookie. Because of our corporate alliance, each of us has employees inside the other's company. Pierce was implying my people were persecuting Brianna to avenge me. Last night's annual gala had been a joint affair, so every employee attended. Brianna's stunt drew criticism the second she stepped off stage. I slammed my cup down. First, I never ordered anyone to target your little secretary, she's not worth my time. Second, if you need to blame someone, blame her own lousy judgment and complete lack of boundaries. Pierce, you're pushing 40, don't you know the first rule of management? Your obvious favoritism is what sets the wolves on her, not me. Brianna lurched forward, voice frantic, it's not Pierce's fault. Serena, last night I overstepped and disrespected you, I'm to blame. I lifted a brow and laughed softly. Pierce, your assistant is a piece of work, zero situational awareness, but she sure jumps to your rescue. Of course I wasn't accepting some out of the blue apology. Brianna bit her lip, tears rolled, tiny sobs shaking her shoulders. The next second my ceramic bowl smashed across the tiles. I stared, stunned. Pierce's face was thunderous, as if I'd committed a crime, apologized to Brianna. I laughed, snatched my coffee cup and flung the contents straight into his face. Brown liquid dripped off his chin. Pierce, you've lost your damn mind if you think you can scream at me like that. We stormed off in opposite directions. That afternoon Pierce left on a business trip, Brianna in tow. Over drinks that night Gloria said my intelligence and edge were backfiring. They only stoked Pierce's urge to protect the trembling heroine. Ridiculous. Suitors line up for me, and I've stayed faithful for years, why can't he? Bottom line, he's bored, the love is gone. A polluted marriage is the last thing I need. I scoped out the little secretary, Gloria snickered. At first glance she's basically a knockoff of you. God knows what Pierce is thinking. He has the genuine article and fawns over a fake. You're alive and well, so why the tragic double nonsense? The man's cracked. No wonder Brianna had felt eerily familiar. Now I understand. Who knows, maybe replicas are better at stroking egos and reading moods. But I will never stoop to pandering to a man. If anyone should be doing the wooing, it's him. My head was splitting. Gloria drove me home. The divorce agreement is ready. When are you going to serve it? Next week. He'll definitely be back for the monthly dinner with grandfather. Every mid-month we dutifully return to the Caldwell estate for a family meal. Divorcing Pierce is no small matter. I have to use this window to shore up my position. While I plotted, Brianna stayed busy flooding Instagram, sunrise breakfast with the CEO, midnight overtime together, skyline selfies on the penthouse roof. The trip is handing her experiences she never dreamed of. There was a time I was the only one standing beside Pierce for those moments. Now employees and shareholders shoot me looks dripping with pity. Pierce is silently letting Brianna use these posts to jab at me. The last scrap of goodwill I felt for him just crumbled. I need to fast-track the asset split. Today Gloria burst into my office waving a folder. Serena, that Pierce is pure trash. What happened? She slammed the folder on my desk, a memory card and several glossy photos slid out, Pierce and Brianna in a hotel lover suite. Brianna's robe gaped, fresh love bites glaring on her chest. He hasn't come home, but his dirty pictures beat him to it. My spine stiffened, a vice clamped around my heart. With shaking fingers I inserted the card into a spare laptop. On the open-air rooftop at dusk, Pierce cradled Brianna's face, gazing at her as if she were the only woman alive. Behind them the sunset exploded in crimson. The sunset glow was like a dream, two lovers wrapped in each other's arms, practically a painting. The instant their lips were about to touch I snapped the laptop shut. My voice carried a tremor I hoped nobody caught. Who sent it? Courier dropped it, reception signed for it. I shook so hard with rage I had to force myself to set the box down carefully. Find out who mailed it. Keep this quiet for now. Who else? That shameless Brianna, desperate to claw her way to the top. This time Pierce had crossed the line. Forget emotional half-cheating, his body had betrayed me. He was tainted. Wait one more day and I'd be free. At the dawn meeting Pierce swept in and ruthlessly fired the employees who'd mocked Brianna. Two of them were my best friends, people on my side. But nothing prepared me for Pierce walking into the family dinner with Brianna on his arm. She'd loaded my mother-in-law down with anti-aging tonics, and Gloria's smile never slipped once. When I arrived, Gloria took my hand, chatting about nothing, then sent someone to fetch her husband and Pierce from the study. Pierce entered the dining room with Brianna. He glanced at me, then looked away. Brianna slid into the seat I always used. Pierce hesitated but said nothing. The smirk plastered on her face made my stomach turn. We were still husband and wife on paper. Parading his assistant at a family meal, letting her steal my chair, he was publicly slapping my face. If they weren't interested in dignity, neither was I. Gloria drew me down beside her, all warmth, promising the seafood spread she'd ordered just for me. My heart twisted. I already knew the words I had to say and they hurt. Gloria had been my mother's closest friend, she'd always treated me like a daughter. But I refused to hand Pierce the courtesy he didn't deserve. I squeezed her hand, patted it gently. Mom, I don't think I can eat tonight. There's something important I have to tell you. Her smile froze. Can't it wait until after dinner? I shook my head, looked straight at Pierce, drew a slow breath and released the sentence I'd swallowed for days. Dad, Mom, I want to divorce Pierce. Silence slammed over the room, even the smell of shellfish seemed to thicken with dread. My father-in-law stared, stunned. Why? Gloria's voice cracked as she pressed, what on earth happened? Pierce slammed his palm on the table. Are you done performing? I gave Brianna one jewelry set and you've milked it for weeks, now divorce? Ever look in the mirror? My father-in-law barked at Pierce to shut up and told me to continue. I pulled the envelope and flash drive from my bag and laid them on the linen. Mom, Dad, see for yourselves. Pierce snatched the photos, his face drained to gray. Printouts fluttered to the carpet, Pierce and Brianna tangled on hotel sheets, unmistakably graphic. Gloria stooped with shaking fingers, lifted one shot, her eyes brimmed instantly. What is this, Pierce? His father's glare could have bored holes through steel. Explain. Now. Pierce whirled on me, accusation blazing. You photoshopped these to set me up. He insisted our marriage had been perfect. Swore he would never betray me. I'd run out of patience. I met his anger with ice. Pierce, spare me. Every image, every clip is real. I, Serena, don't need gutter tricks to lead you. Gloria's husband slammed the table again. You will account for this, Pierce. Dad, you know me. Pierce pleaded. Serena and I argued, sure, but I'd never stoop to this. Suddenly he spun toward Brianna, who was shrinking into her chair. He jabbed a finger at the scattered photos, eyes savage. What the hell are these? We never slept together, how can these even exist? Brianna rose, white as chalk, trembling. I don't know, Pierce. Believe me, I have no idea how Serena got them. Pierce's eyes bulged, he kicked his chair aside and advanced. Spell it out. You're telling me every shot is real? And I remember nothing? She backed up until the wall stopped her, tears spilling. Pierce, please, you're scaring me. All I remember is that night on the hotel balcony, you were drunk, watching the sunset, you grabbed me, kept calling me Serena. And then, he growled. I tried to push away, but you wouldn't let go. I swear I planned to bury the memory forever. She sobbed openly. For a heartbeat Pierce looked hollow, then he gave a brittle laugh. No. If I'd done it, I'd know. Even if I mistook you for Serena, I still wouldn't have touched you. The words flayed Brianna, tears streaked her cheeks as she whirled and fled the room. Pierce turned to me, eyes glassy with grief. Serena, I didn't betray you. I stared back, numb. Whether you did or didn't doesn't matter anymore, we're finished. No. I won't sign. He lunged, seizing my wrist. Serena, I love you. The only reason I looked at Brianna is because her eyes reminded me of you when we first met. Even then I never crossed the line. You have to believe me. I cut him off with a weary wave. But she still isn't me. Don't use my ghost as an excuse to whore around, then blame me for it. I don't doubt you once loved me. I'm not 20 nm. Or, I can't compete with young, sweet, compliant girls. Admit it, Pierce, you don't love me the way you imagine. Duty, chains, the company, those force the word love out of your mouth. Since the reason is gone, why keep up the act? Let each other go and be well. Every sentence scraped another layer of color from his face. He searched my eyes for the smallest flicker of doubt, for any crack he could widen into hope. There was none. Almost begging, he whispered, Serena, that's only your verdict, not mine. Don't treat divorce like a stunt. I can explain everything, please listen. I never wanted her on that trip, she begged, said the office would ostracize her. All those entertainment outings were arranged by our partners, I didn't join. I was wrong. I apologize. I'm sorry you were hurt. I only meant to teach you a lesson, to show a wife should give her husband breathing room. I never meant for it to explode like this. I tugged free, gave a cold laugh. Sorry, so my love suffocated you. Don't worry, your freedom is minutes away. I reached into my bag and produced the folder. I've itemized everything as fairly as I could. Look it over and sign. If you have any objections, I'll still be willing to sit down and talk again, for Uncle and Auntie's sake, I said, calm and steady. Pierce couldn't take it. A bitter, defeated laugh slipped out. I will never agree to a divorce. I'll find proof that I never laid a hand on Brianna. His voice was obstinate. Doesn't matter. I'm filing. My reply was flat. Pierce's eyes reddened, disbelief flooding his face. He couldn't grasp it, how I, who once loved him so deeply, could still insist on leaving after he had stooped to apologize. He opened his mouth again, but his father slapped the table and stood, shooting his son a look that screamed useless, then stormed off to the study. His mother was already sobbing. How could you do this to us? We can't even hold our heads up anymore. In only 5 short years, the headline grabbing society wedding of the decade had crumbled to dust. Watching the scene, my chest swirled with everything and nothing. Before that disastrous gala, I'd actually wanted to try for a baby with Pierce. Yet the instant I saw the man who once loved only me choose another woman's side, my heart, and my head, made the call. Cut clean. I refused to let my marriage, my love, carry the slightest stain. I would not settle. After Mom passed, Dad stepped away from work and settled into a quiet life in my villa. I visited often, sharing the small moments of my days. This time I told him I planned to divorce Pierce. He was stunned, but in the end he respected my decision. Still, he slipped into his room and secretly called Pierce's father. Whenever Pierce and I had spats in the past, both sets of parents would huddle behind the scenes to patch things up. But this time, the damage was beyond their craft. Dad noticed I came home every single day and realized the rift was final. No more leisurely birdwalks or tea tastings. Instead, he preached daily about how good Pierce had been to him. It got old fast. He's so wonderful, huh? You've rung him nonstop this week. Has he answered once? You must have broken his heart so badly he can't face anyone, Dad muttered, trying to excuse him. His shifty eyes almost made me laugh. Worry over us had blistered the corner of his mouth. Dad, stop wasting your breath. The marriage is over. I was firm. But don't worry, I'll handle it so our family's friendship isn't dragged through the mud. I tried to comfort him. You loved Pierce so much. Won't you regret this? Won't it hurt? He asked. I patted his shoulder. Once we're divorced, he'll cease to exist in my world. Time will erase everything. Dad opened his mouth, then shut it. He shuffled off, muttering, I wonder if raising you to be so independent was a blessing or a curse. Pierce wasn't dodging Dad's calls out of spite. He'd handed his phone to a tech team so they could trace the origin of those photos while he flew off on a business trip. 3 days, gone. Gloria told me. Every day she marched into Caldwell on my behalf, waving the divorce papers for Pierce to sign. Since that family dinner, Brianna had vanished from the Caldwell offices. On the 5th day of Pierce's disappearance, an unknown number texted me a video. The backdrop was a huge open-air terrace that looked eerily familiar. Before I could hit play, the same number rang. It was Pierce, excitement crackling in her voice. Serena, I told you I never touched Brianna. I tracked down the hotel, but the terrace cam had been smashed. I pulled strings and bought the original footage. Those photos and clips were faked by Brianna's cousin using AI software, the girl who almost knocked you down at the entrance, remember? I recalled the kid who'd nearly mowed me over. Serena, I didn't betray you. Can we please, not divorce? Pleading laced every word. I tightened my grip on the phone and blocked the memory of the girl. Calmly I said, Pierce, does betrayal only count if I catch you in bed? Even if this video clears you, what's the use? When you handed the suit I'd tailored for you to Brianna, did you imagine how I'd feel? When you left me stranded on the road to rescue her, did you think of my humiliation? When you took her on that trip and posted honeymoon-style photos on Instagram, did you consider the whispers I'd face? You even brought her to the Caldwell estate and let her occupy my rightful place, claiming it was to teach me a lesson, but to me it was the ultimate degradation. Silence stretched from the other end. I'm sorry, Serena. Pierce's quiet sob came through. I know nothing I say can erase the hurt. I was selfish and stupid, blind to your feelings. But believe me, I never set out to wound you, let alone end us. Listening, I felt nothing. The storm had passed. The damage was done, carved in stone. There was no road back. When Pierce returned, he still refused to sign. Gloria simply moved into the lounge off his office, used his things, and texted me bulletins. Police showed up today, never thought they'd drag you in. They arrested Brianna's cousin, but Brianna's gone. Brianna's cousin, drowning in gambling debts, had come to her. Once they knew who Pierce was, they hatched a plan: drug him, force a night, then push me out. Pierce didn't fall for it, he shoved her away. To hide the failure, the cousin faked photos and video, hoping I'd explode and leave. Pierce dug, found the truth. The cousin now faced a stack of charges. Brianna remained at large. Gloria added that from day one Pierce had treated Brianna a little differently, sparking her hatred of me. Hearing it, I only sighed. Had Pierce remained the man who could walk through 1,000 flowers without a petal clinging, none of this would have happened. But if only is useless now. A new overseas project required a 2-month trip. When I landed back home, the first news I heard was that Pierce had been in a crash, both legs gone, wheelchair for life. The driver, Brianna. She'd drawn a long sentence for intentional assault. I was stunned. I thought she loved him. How could love curdle into that? Back at the house my car was missing. After much asking, Dad admitted Pierce had begged him to keep it quiet. I adored that car, I'd always had Pierce service it himself. Brianna hadn't known I was abroad, so she waited near my place. Seeing Pierce drive my car out, she rammed him. She'd rented a sedan and floored it, her real target had been me. After the incident, everyone abandoned Brianna, her job evaporated. Unhinged, she blamed me. I went to the hospital. Pierce lay in a VIP suite, no visitors allowed. I knocked. A low voice from inside growled, "Get out." "Pierce, it's Serena." Neither of us spoke again. Later, Pierce had 2 documents delivered, the divorce papers and a stock transfer deed for Caldwell. I met his lawyer and signed the divorce, but I couldn't accept the company. Dad forbade I. A year later I saw Pierce again. He was walking on prosthetic legs. The childhood bond between us flickered, but it was no longer what it had been. Thanks for listening to today's story. If you enjoyed it, please like and share with friends. We look forward to your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more gripping tales. See you next time.